Happy New Year, Hawk fans. Our first episode of Inside the Hawks 2011 edition. I'm Matt Martucci, and if you had the chance to check out the men's basketball Atlantic 10 opener, you probably weren't too happy with what you saw this past Wednesday night. The Hawks committing 19 turnovers and falling to Duquesne and Philadelphia 75-63 for just the second time in the history of the series between the two schools, just the second time that Duquesne has beaten St. Joseph's in the city of brotherly love. SJU will get back after it Saturday against George Washington. On the women's side of things, head coach Cindy Griffin's Hawks getting the entire week off before opening conference play at St. Louis this coming Saturday. I had the chance to catch up with Coach Griffin and talk about her team's red-hot 10-4 start.
Matt Martucci with St. Joseph's women's basketball coach Cindy Griffin. Coach, now with a 10-4 start. Since the last time we talked, a lot more progress has been made. I know you would have liked to get the one against Maryland just recently, but how are you feeling about the way things have gone?
Yeah, I'm very proud of the way this team is playing and coming together, and I think we've won a lot of close games, and those games build character, and we certainly have a lot of that on the court every day, and not just on game day and practice. And this is a special group. They're fun to coach, and we're getting better at the things that we need to get better at, and I think we're getting very, very good at the things that we are already good at, and that's a great sign at this point in the season.
Talk a little bit about that Maryland game. I know you're down 3 at half. You get, obviously, a big outing from Katie Kuster. Not quite enough at home, though, obviously, against the team that every year is in the upper echelon of women's college basketball.
Yeah, I think, they're physically, superior to our team in from the physical standpoint. But, I was proud of the way we played the first half. And the second half, a couple plays here and there, a couple defensive miscues hurt us, and they took advantage of it, and that's what good teams do. And I think the difference for them was Alyssa Thomas, the freshman that came in and had 22 points, and she's done some of those things for them in this year, but not at the level that she did against us. And I think we were prepared for most things, but that was one of the things that I think got us, got them going.
St. Joseph's women's basketball coach Cindy Griffin, our guest here on Inside the Hawks, our weekly podcast on St. Joseph's athletics. A few weeks ago, we spoke about Katie Kuster, how you were looking for her to be able to create a little more from the outside rather than just being a perimeter shooter, doing some other things. Where is she as far as that goes? I know, obviously, gets the Atlantic 10 Player of the Week distinction this week, but where is she in terms of improvement now in her third year on campus?
Well, I think Katie just gets better and better with each game and each day, each practice. She's a leader. She rarely ever has a bad day. Even if she has a bad shooting day, she's still that ultimate leader, vocally, physically, emotionally for this team. And she's just such a huge part of what we're doing and what we're continuing to do. And the fact that she's being able to put numbers behind all of those intangible things is a credit to her work ethic that took place over the summer. All her hard work this summer is paying off right now.
And Katie, as we just mentioned, the Atlantic 10 Conference Player of the Week this week after a career-high 23 points against Maryland. Hawks now 10-4 and just about set to open up Atlantic 10 Conference play. Mid-season, we're going to jump around a little bit here. We just talked about Katie Kuster, one of your upperclassmen. Let's go to the freshmen mid-season, and want to hear your grades on your freshmen as well as your transfers.
The grades are what they were getting in the classroom. They're A's and B's, and I'm very happy about that. So that's kind of a correlation of on the court and off the court work ethic. But we'll start with Aaron Shields, our freshman, who has assumed the starting point guard position for us, and in Game 7, and she's done a great job leading us, knowing what we want, and not losing sight of where her strengths are, which is shooting the basketball. And she's been able to balance both and do that for us at a very high level. And to be comfortable doing that is one thing, but to have the talent to do it is another. And I think she has both of those things.
She gets her work ethic pretty honestly. I know Rini, even having been out of college basketball for a little while now, is still one of the fiercest competitors I know.
Absolutely. When you're getting a Shields, you know what you're getting, and I think that's that's a credit to her parents, Jimmy and Renee, and to their parents. And, that we're very, very grateful that Erin chose St. Joe's, and we're benefiting from it, and I believe she's benefiting from it as well.
Hawk head coach Cindy Griffin, our guest here on Inside the Hawks. As far as the way you see this conference this year, the Atlantic 10 shaping up, you have your first game. You're going on the road this Saturday at St. Louis. Then you come home next Wednesday against Xavier. As far as strength of the league this year from the past, where do you see it?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, there's no easy game. There's no, you don't go up on the board and say, okay, this is going to be a W. There are no guarantees this year. And, just looking at the RPI ratings and knowing that we're 7th and 8th ranked conference in the country and keeping that up. And, we've got a lot of teams in the top 80 RPI right now. And over half of the league is in the top 80, and that's just a credit to the coaches and the players in this league that have committed to non-conference scheduling and to obviously recruiting and keeping Atlantic 10 basketball on the map.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to seeing how things shape up this Saturday now, and then the following Wednesday against Xavier. Good luck.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Once again, thanks to Cindy Griffin for stopping by. You can catch the Hawks in their next home game this Wednesday, January 12th at Hagan Arena versus Xavier. Tip time for that one is noon. Every now and then, we have some guests outside of SJU that are just too good to pass up. A few weeks ago, during our men's basketball game at Boston University, I had the opportunity to sit down with ESPN's own Sean McDonough and talk about college hoops and what he sees from the Hawks. So here's Sean McDonough right here on Inside the Hawks. Back at halftime here at Agganis Arena, about 12 minutes or so until we get back underway here on the St. Joseph Sports Network, with the Hawks up 39-38, fresh off an 8-0 BU run over the final couple minutes of the first half to make this now a one-point game. Matt Martucci with you, and we'll get a look at your halftime stats in just a little bit. Joe Lenardi steps aside, but very pleased to be joined by a special guest here at Agganis Arena, my good friend and one of the best in the business when you do listen to play-by-play broadcasting out there, Sean McDonough from ESPN. Happy to have
Matt,
you here.
It's great to be here with you, pal. Merry Christmas to you and all of your listeners.
So what do you have going on over the holiday season? I know you have the Insight Bowl coming up in about a week. With
Insight Bowl on the 28th, and it should be a good matchup. Missouri is, I think, one of the best teams not in a BCS Bowl. They're 10-2. And they're 12th in the BCS standings against an Iowa team that I think is very talented, just had a disappointing year. And then we have the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day, Connecticut and Oklahoma. And then I'll be heading to the Sugar Bowl for ESPN Radio on the 4th, which should be another terrific game, Ohio State and Arkansas.
Sean McDonough joining us here on our halftime report, our Viridian Energy halftime report at the Agganis Arena, 39-38. St. Joseph's up by just a point now at halftime. Now you're working with Matt Millen on those football broadcasts.
Good Pennsylvania man.
Yep. Yeah. What's the difference between working with a guy like him and a guy like a Chris Spielman?
Well, I think they're very similar. They were similar players, very talented, all-pro kind of players, team leaders, very tough. I think they were both known for their intensity and toughness and leadership. And they take a similar approach to broadcasting, too. They're very intense about it. They're very hardworking. Matt watches more film than anybody I've ever seen in preparing for a game. And, Chris was similar as well. So I've been blessed, as you know, Matt. I mean, Jay Billis and Bill Raftery very well. And, to work with them all winter on basketball and have them be such wonderful people in addition to being great broadcast professionals. And to work with guys like Matt Millen and Chris Spielman during football, I'm a very lucky guy.
Now, you've had the opportunity to see quite a bit, obviously, the top 25 thus far. I'm trying to think of who you had. You did have Syracuse, did you not, at one point?
In basketball?
Yep.
Not yet. I've seen a lot of them on TV.
Okay.
We had Pitt and Tennessee the other day, which was a high-level matchup. I was very disappointed by Pitt, but I think that you could chalk that up to more of just a bad day.
How about Tennessee?
We had Georgetown Temple.
How about Tennessee, by the way?
Tennessee, I can't
last
figure
couple
that
games,
out.
yep.
Yeah, they look like they played that day like they might be the best team in the country or one of them, and then they go out and lose a couple right after that. Maybe there was a hangover from the big win, but I was very impressed by Temple. We had Georgetown Temple in Philly a couple weeks ago. We were there for Fran Dunphy's 400th win, which I was really happy to be there for because I have tremendous respect for him as a person and as a coach. I think he's one of the real good guys in coaching, and obviously a terrific coach. I've been lucky. I've been a Pennsylvania 400 win guy because we had Joe Paterno's 400th win on ABC on one of our Saturday afternoon games when they beat Northwestern in a terrific game, coming from behind to do it. So it's been a milestone month or two here.
Yep. And what do you have going on during the holiday season? I know just a few months ago, we can talk a little bit about your foundation, the Sean McDonough Foundation, that a few months ago you had your yearly celebrity golf tournament, did you not?
Yes, we did. In September, we had about 30 celebrities from all over the country. We're really blessed this year with a great celebrity field. Matt Damon came and played, which made particularly a lot of the ladies happy, and a lot of my ESPN colleagues and a lot of the legendary athletes in this area. And we started a foundation. My family did about 8 years ago to try to raise money to help grassroots children's charities here in Massachusetts, and with the help of a lot of beautiful people, we've given out now about $2.7 million in the last 8 years. So we're excited about that, especially this time of the year. We give out the checks right before Christmas, so it's a nice thing to be able to go around to these great organizations that do so much to help kids and give them a boost at this time of the year.
Well, if I could ever learn to swing a stick, maybe I'll come play in that at some point.
Well, it's a fun day. It really is. We have a nice party the night before here at the Boston Harbor Hotel right downtown on the waterfront, and then the golf tournament the next day. And it's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's a labor of love.
Sean McDonough, ESPN's Sean McDonough, our guest here at halftime on our Viridian Energy halftime report, 39-38 St. Joseph's leading Boston University. Obviously, you've seen a lot of college basketball. You talked about how impressed you are with Fran Dunphy and with Temple. What do you think of the Hawks? I think Hawk fans would be upset if I didn't ask.
Well, it's obviously looking at the roster, very young team. I think if I read it right, they have 2 seniors and one of them's not here.
Correct.
Because he's, I think he had an appendectomy if I read the notes right.
Yep.
And the same is true at BU. They have a very young team with a lot of new players. I come to a couple of BU games every year living here, and there weren't a lot of familiar names for me tonight as I looked at the roster. I think that similar to just looking at the stats. A lot of the stats don't lie, as they say. And when you look at St. Joe's shooting, under 41% for the year, it's hard to win that way. BU shooting 38% from the floor for the year, which is about 312th, I think, in the country. So, it's still a game about putting the ball in the basket. And I think if these two teams don't shoot better, they're not going to have much more success than they've had now. Phil's such a great coach and has done such a great job there. I'm sure he'll get it back rolling again. But I'm sure it's going to be disconcerting to some of the fans, because if I read it right, this is might be 3 years in a row now of mediocrity, or not even quite mediocrity, and that's way below the standard that they've set under Phil. But he'll get it back. He's too good a coach.
Yep. Hopefully coming back with the recruited class. This year's freshman group that so far have been very impressive in this one tonight, with the Hawks up by a point right now.
The skinny guy can play.
Yep.
They list him at 150 pounds.
Tate Jones.
Yeah. I think that I'd take the under on that 150. But
you know what, though? He's pretty strong.
Tough.
He's strong
for
his
his size.
size.
To the rim. I mean, he's a pesky defender. I've been impressed. He's a little gnat out there. He's always in the other guy's face and always has something to say to the refs. But he's the kind of guy, if he's on your team, you love him.
Finds a way to score. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We're in now late December, so only a little bit over a month of college basketball. But I'm going to ask you to give me your Final Four here in the month of December.
Well, I think, if I still like Duke, even though Kyrie Irving got hurt and it doesn't look like he's going to play. I think they're still probably the best team in the country. I think there's a very good chance we'll see 2 Big East teams. I guess being a Big East guy, I'll go with Villanova in your hometown, and I'll go for the homer alma mater pick and go with Syracuse. And I'll go for one flyer on the University of Washington.
Oh, yeah? Like in Lorenzo Romar's?
Yeah, I really was. We had them in Maui. They are deep and talented. I don't think they're tremendous inside, but you can say that about a lot of the very good teams in college basketball. It tends to be a guard-dominated sport at this level. So, and they have really good guards, including a guy named Isaiah Thomas. So, that's not a lot of thought went into that, but off the top of my head, that's as good as I come up with.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll look for the Huskies.
I don't know why you need to ask me, though. You got Joey Brackett's here, as the all-time expert.
That's true.
I was hitting him up early. I want to know, what he thinks already. I guess they've already got some brackets up, so that's good to know. It's sign that we're really getting into the meat of the season when Joe starts doing the brackets.
They're up the day after the national title. He releases usually the next year's bracket.
Well, he's clairvoyant.
Yep, April through March. We've got him 12 months out of the year. So, Sean.
He's the best, and you are too, Matt. I'm glad everything's going so well for you. You're one of the good guys in our business, and keep up the great work.
Always a pleasure to see you, and of course, thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure. Anytime, and hope you and Joe have a great Christmas. Happy New Year.
You do the same. Sean McDonough from ESPN, our halftime guest here at Agganis Arena in Boston, Massachusetts, with St. Joseph's leading BU 39-38. Our halftime stats, as well as the rest of our Viridian Energy halftime report, coming on the St. Joseph Sports Network. Thanks again to Sean McDonough and Hawk women's basketball coach Cindy Griffin for being this week's guests on Inside the Hawks. Join us next week, where we'll have snippets from the upcoming week's episode of Hawk Talk Radio from head coach Phil Martelli, as well as some highlights from this Saturday's game against George Washington. For Inside the Hawks, I'm Matt Martucci. Keep the faith, Hawk fans, and we'll see you next week.